let's welcome Jessica Alba and Lizzie Mathis to our couch, to our studio. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning. So this is really exciting. Jessica, let's start with you. I watched some of the episodes, and you know, there are a lot of home renovation shows out there, but this one is geared towards parents, which is such a challenging and vulnerable time in a new parent's life. But you guys really go to town on kind of creating like a dream home situation for a lot of parents. So tell us about what like inspired you to want to take, you know, your honest company into this home renovation realm.
Well, I was inspired by the company that I created for sure, and I actually wrote a book called The Honest Life, and in it there's tons of tips and tricks that I incorporated in there, you know, definitely making a space beautiful and making your home your sanctuary, hiding storage, for example, and staying organized, but also using healthier materials, you know, because that can impact your day-to-day so much and the quality of life. But between the two of us, we have 3 kids each, so there's 6 kids, and you guys also have 6 kids. And so you just learn so much through trial and error, right?
It's amazing how kids take over houses, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, suddenly all their stuff is not just here, and like the
it's
playroom,
everywhere.
it's everywhere.
And then you're like, why do I feel on edge when I come into this door?
And you don't see it coming. It literally just happens, and one day you wake up and you're like, oh, how is this possible?
Who am I? Who am I
anymore?
Where am I?
Yeah. And Lizzie, I really like how this show, it's different because you guys really get to the human side of knowing the families and tailoring it to their needs. In the first episode, you know, you really talk about like self-care and what does this mom need? She needs her own office, and the baby needs its own nursery. They need to be separate spaces, and she needs an ensuite bathroom. But let's talk about that bathroom, because it was a broom closet, and then you turned it into a spa.
It was amazing. You know, I think one of the biggest things for us is that whenever you think of parents, you always think of them with kids, and what about the kids? And for us, it was
Putting
really
the kids
important.
first every time.
Every time. And for us, it was really important to also focus on the parents and make it a little bit of a surprise for them. They didn't expect it. So she didn't expect to have this bathtub and this luxurious kind of bathroom as her, you know, space. And that also the episode you're talking about, she also got a beautiful walk-in closet. You know, so she got all these little moments.
Because her clothes were in 3 different spaces in the house.
That's right.
And every room was everything. It was like every space was her office, was the baby's room, you know, was the chill room. And we were like, we have to separate these spaces, because then it just frees you up mentally if you know that there's dedicated intentional spaces for each thing.
And I think
that's a tip that you don't know, you don't know until you've been there,
and
done
you
that.
know, as a mom of 3 and as a dad of 3 really too, that like, you know, finding time for yourself is the hardest thing to find. And so we really wanted to create self-care moments for each one of our families and each one of our parents in these episodes.
So we came up with a shot of you guys, you know, holding nail guns. How much of the work, if people haven't seen the shows, how much are you actually doing of these sort of renovations?
I mean, we have real qualified, insured contractors
and make sure that
really
we're doing
know how to
everything
do
correctly.
things.
Correct.
But we, you know, usually it's when we have an idea and they're like, I don't really know, I don't get it kind of thing, or how did you want this to, like, how is this supposed to come together?
We step in there and show them.
Then we step in there and show them, and then they're like, and then sometimes they mess with us and they're like, you know, you wanted to knock down this wall and put up another, you know, make it a doorway. You know, there needs to be a support beam. Why don't you come help?
You know, but I think that was part of it, though. Like, we have a learning curve in this show, too. And that was intentional to show, because we wanted everyone to see, the audience to see
the design process.
The design process, but also you can do this. This isn't something that, like, you know, your normal home renovation show where it's just like before and after, or you think it just like gets done. We wanted to show that these are takeaway tips that you can actually do at home, and you don't have to be so, I don't know, have so much money or be a professional or, you know, you can take the first step.
Totally, and I love that you kept a lot of, you know, the family's furniture, existing furniture, but it looks so different in these new spaces. And you know, the wallpaper incident, you guys are saying, hey, maybe wallpaper can break friendships.
It can.
But there was one part where you dropped the word subflooring, and Jessica was like, oh, look at you, fancy. Like, you're like, I'm an interior designer now. And she corrected you. She's like, no, you're a contractor.
It's true. I think, but that's part of our relationship too. Like, we keep it real on this show, and I think that our dynamic is is, you know, very fun, and we're like sisters, and so we definitely tell each other how it is.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times in these shows, the humanity doesn't always come through.
Yeah.
But for me, we wanted to flip it, and we really wanted it to be honest, and and we wanted you to see the humanity behind all of our decisions, and then just our dynamic.
Yeah, there's an authenticity there for sure. And what I find interesting about this is right now we're in the middle of the Hollywood writer's strike, so you've got an unscripted show, which is new content.
This is unstruck work.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
So it's really interesting to sort of see that distinction. And is there going to be more? I mean, I think that's the big question. I mean, can you do more?
Yeah, we've announced season 2.
Yeah.
So we will be back for a second season, which we're very excited about. You know, it's going to be more of this, more fun, more design, more takeaways.
Yeah, and we'll learn, you know, we've also we've learned along the way, like, how to be more efficient, how to do it a little bit better. So season 2 will be a little bit tighter.
Right.
And I must ask, I mean, both of you, you know, have been in TV shows and movies. Jessica, I mean, I grew up and I was watching you grow up while you were acting on Flipper.
Oh my gosh,
Flipper, and your mom is a lifeguard and she taught you how to like swim and do all those tricks. I mean, you were part of my childhood. I mean, I watched Honey and Sin City. So much of that. So I'm sure a lot of people are watching both you ladies, beautiful, smart women. Like, is acting still in the card for you down the road?
Oh yeah, I mean, of course. For me, at least, I have a lot of things that I can't talk about because of what's going on with the strike.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as a producer, I think, you know, really opening up my world to being an entrepreneur has giving me just sort of a different lens in how I would want to tackle entertainment and not just sort of be, you know, in the position where I'm a person for hire, but also help shape the worlds and give also other people opportunities.
Yeah.
So being a producer has been, for me, a really exciting new chapter in entertainment, along, you know, also being on camera.
Yeah.
I think that's the exciting part about this show too, is that we're both executive producers and co-creators of the show. And so we were really able to put our stamp on it from start to finish.
Yeah.
And so everything that you see, we are doing and we've had a say in, and it was very intentional.
All the edits,
you
know, the
it's really
story and how we want to, you know, really.
You definitely feel like you're in control, given what TJ says about
Exactly.
how you guys. He's like, no, you guys are the bosses.
That's
okay.
right. So the next chapter is more of that, though. You know, the next chapter is also being able to executive produce and create projects and entertainment and, you know, things that you see that are worth it and that really mean something to us.
And also representative of our cultures and our communities.
That's right.
You know, I think we know how important it is to be seen and heard, and for other kids to see, you know, different types of people can be in positions of power, and you know, they can look like us.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And
Absolutely.
that's cool, you know.
That's good. Well, listen, it was great to meet both of you this morning. Thanks so much for coming in and talking more about Honest Renovations. Lizzie, Jessica, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Great day.
Premieres
having us.
August 18th on Roku. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
More
Let me get
news
to our
straight
headlines
ahead.
right now. Thank you very much.
Right.
Good to meet you. Yeah. Well, the Center for Young Black Professionals, or CEE, is starting a new drive to offer black youth free career skills training in an effort to break down hiring bias.
And for more, we're joined now by Agape Gasese, Executive Director of the CEE, and Mike Fregis, who's the CEE Hero alumni. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning. A lot of really exciting work being done. So first, start off by telling us a little bit about the organization.
Yeah, so CEE Center for Young Black Professionals is for black youth specifically, and we do workforce development. So we look at labor gaps in the Canadian market, and we train our young people using wraparound supports. So there's social workers, psychotherapists, job placement specialists that support our young people in starting their careers.
And Mike, you know, some of the statistics that have come out of your study really show the hiring bias here when it comes to young black Canadians. Can you talk a bit more about what the challenges you're seeing and how you can help overcome that?
Absolutely. The challenges are when you go into a room, you know you're qualified, but you don't get the job. And what's amazing about this campaign is that it'll show the world that yes, we work hard, and yes, we can do it. And yes, we have done it, and we will always do it.
Good, yeah.
That's really good. And when it comes to helping the employers themselves, right? As a Black person, you can only do so much to really fight those biases, but it really comes from the other side. So tell me a little bit about your organization and the message you have to employers when it comes to hiring more people of color.
Yeah, I think that this campaign really just speaks to, the hoodies, we call them, who you really are. On the back of them, it says that. And we really want Canadians and employers to see Black youth for who they really are, that they're talented, they're brilliant, they have a lot to offer us. And when Black youth thrive, we all thrive. We have a labor gap issue in this country, and Black youth are not the problem. They're actually the solution to a lot of the issues that we're facing in this country. And so we want them to meaningfully contribute to the Canadian economy, and when they thrive, we all thrive. And so that's what we really want people to get from this.
So let's talk about these hoodies, because they are unique to each of the persons wearing them. Mike, let's talk about your hoodie and who you really are, we can say. Tell us about you.
So my name is Mike Regis, and I am a C alumni from the production accounting program. And this hoodie represents who I am. I went on the government exchange mission with the government of Canada to Europe, as well as did some CPR training at TMU.
Yeah.
And this is just who I am. I'm a born truth teller, and this organization truly changed my life.
Is it kind of like a resume on a hoodie? Is that a little bit about what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's amazing. And walk us through some of this report's findings. So this is your first time really actually aggregating this data. It's summarizing it really quickly. What did you guys find?
So we found, organizations, York University had also put this study together. And so this just really speaks to the fact that there are jobs available, and that the Black population are folks who are untapped resources to fill in those gaps. And so we really wanted to shed light on the fact that there are jobs available, and that there are Black youth brilliant, ready to take on these opportunities, and that we need to give them a chance. And that we need to stop looking at what we think people are and really truly look at who they really are and what they can bring to the Canadian economy.
A really good positive message. Agape, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today. All the good work that you do. Thank you.
These are some pictures, likely a vineyard somewhere in and around Niagara on the Lake. And of course, a lot of people associate Niagara region with sort of wine country around here. But we're also in peak season right now for, local produce in and out of there. And a lot of that comes from the Niagara region. So to talk more about what you can get kind of just around the corner or the other side of the lake really from here is Jared Bowler, the beverage manager and mixologist at Dispatch Restaurant from St. Catharines, giving us a real taste of Niagara. Jared, good to see you this morning. Thanks for coming into CP24 Breakfast. A lot of us are sort of thinking, oh, it's wine country, but there's so much more than that to Niagara, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. And brunch, anyone? Everybody loves a good brunch. Yeah. So Dispatch, every Sunday now, you can find amazing brunch. And today, yes, we're going to showcase that.
So let's talk about this, because I thought this was cereal at first, but this isn't actually cereal. What is this?
Lo and behold. So our chefs are Turkish, actually, and they are beautiful pastry makers, but this is little mini hand-rolled croissants.
A little croissant right there.
Little croissants with some local dried fruit, and then we hit it with a little bit of rose hip.
And some milk, right?
Syrup, and a little bit of milk. So
it's literally a bowl of cereal.
A little mini bowl of cereal, but with little mini croissants. So a beautiful, very fun play on what we're doing internationally at Dispatch.
And these dried fruits, what are the dried fruits on there?
So the little black currants.
Little black currants,
yeah.
Okay, right. And how about what are these, and what's the connection to Niagara here?
So this is essentially a Turkish bagel. So again, all local ingredients that we're using, all local spices and produce and whatnot. So we're hand rolling these as well. Kind of has the texture a little bit of a crunchy croissant, but very fresh and beautiful as well. So,
wow, that's
really,
interesting.
Really nice, right?
It's kind of like almost a hybrid between a croissant and a bagel.
Exactly.
In a way.
Yeah. So you can come up with whatever name you want to there, but that's exactly what it is.
Kind of like
right?
the CNE, but we're not talking that. We're talking Niagara. I realize we're talking about some beverages here as well. And you were talking to me earlier. The non-alcoholic beverages, kind of the virgin mocktails, really are taking off.
Oh, absolutely. And what we're trying to do at Dispatch as well is we want to provide the beautiful international, globally inspired cocktails, but also in a non-alcoholic form, right? So here you have your tagine representing Morocco. It's presented in the tagine with a bunch of applewood smoke with mint that is grown in our chef's garden in Niagara, as well as one of our local farmers providing us with all these beautiful microflowers and stuff. So
let's talk about this next cocktail over here, because I'm going to add a little chocolate to it while you describe what's going on.
Yeah. So again, non-alcoholic distillate. We have a local coffee maker as well, providing us with coffee, and that's just some 35% cream, and you're microplaning adding a little bit of dark chocolate over the top. So again, just a beautiful, beautiful mocktail for the morning.
And Jared, while I sample this, why don't you talk about another mocktail that's sort of gaining popularity, and you're using the Niagara peaches, which are really great right now.
Yeah, spectacular. So we call this the Giovanni Bellini because the Bellini was an Italian painter, and it was inspired by that. So what we wanted to do is actually give it a nice little brush of paint, and then we are a zero waste establishment as well, or little to no waste. So how do we do that? And what we did was we took the skins of the peaches and we're pulverizing and making an actual dust out of it. So it tastes like a peach, but we broke it down in liquid form. And this is a little bit of hibiscus powder as well.
That is super creative.
Again. And then we added a little bit of Navarro, which is a beautiful, essentially kind of like a bitter Campari, but locally made in Niagara, with some stir-crazy bitters that they created for us with all these beautiful aromatic spices. Then, of course, our amazing peach puree that are growing everywhere right now in Niagara.
I can't keep enough peaches in my house right now. It's just great. Can I have a sip of this?
Oh,
We've got to go. So I'm going to raise a
Yeah.
glass to this. Jared Bowler from Dispatch, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
Letting us know what's just literally on the other side of the lake here.
Come on down, yeah.
Enjoy that. Thank you so much. Canadian rock radio staple there. One of Canada's most venerable rock bands, 5440, been hard at work releasing a live vinyl album from a show at the El Macombo, releasing a new album and a tour, which of course is leading into September. The tour's already kicked off, but the lead singer of 5440, Neil Osborne, joins us live right now on CP24 Breakfast. Neil, good to talk to you. Good to get new music and a new album from 5440. I've been listening to you guys for years and years and years.
Thanks.
Really enjoy it. So great to have you here on the show this morning. Let's talk about the El Macombo. It's just such a historic venue in the city, recording an album there. What's that like? Because the Stones associated with El Macombo, it's such a venue.
Yeah, the Elmo's classic. I don't know if you've been there lately, but there's the staircase that goes up there, up the stairs to the main room. They got in each stair is a name of every band that's played there. Blondie, The Clash, everybody like that, all our heroes from the day. So to be going on that stage is quite a thrill.
And what's it like, still getting at it? I mean, you guys started in the 80s. And here you are, it's the 2020s now.
Is it?
Right? I mean, isn't that remarkable? Like 40 years of rock and roll and sort of like dazzling audiences, and you're on a great little tour right now as well. What has that process been like for you, that evolution of 5440 from, the early days to now?
Well, certainly we've seen a lot of changes, right? I mean, it's funny, we were talking about vinyl was the only medium of selling your music.
Yeah.
And all the different changes through CDs and cassettes and then streaming, and then we're back to vinyl in some cases. But live music has always remained the core, right? People still like to see live music. We like to play live music. And that's been the constant, so that's been the great part.
Can you talk more about live music? Because I'm always, some people just like listening to the albums. They like maybe not so much anymore because of streaming, but you listen from track 1 through 13 or 14, whatever it might be, and you're kind of used to hearing that. But when you play it live, you can change up the set list. It sort of throws people like, oh, this song to hear. Like when you're coming up with your set list, how do you kind of decide on, I think we should go from this song to this song rather than, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we've seen on, X album?
Well, we like to start with a bit of a bang, get people, wake them up, and then end with a bang, and then have some fireworks in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, it's right. Like you're performing, right?
Yes. There's an interaction that happens that is not the same as a recorded version. And I'm also a fan of music. I go see bands, just like anybody perhaps would. But when you're in that experience, you're part of the experience. So as a musician, you realize the audience is there with you. And you create this new energy, and it's a new feel. And they're almost an instrument that you have to learn how to.
Right.
I don't mean play as in terms of I'm playing you.
I get what you're saying, though. Yeah.
It's an interaction, and you kind of feel it and hear it, and then ride with it. And it's a really, live is still blowing my mind just playing it. I can't believe it's happening.
As someone who's been in an audience at 5440 shows, I kind of get what you're feeling, and I get that vibe that you're talking about here. But let's talk more about this album. What's new for 5440 fans that they may not have heard before? What are you excited about with this?
Well, this is a live album at the Elmo, done a couple of years back. So it's where the band is at now, in a nice sort of sweet spot of interaction and playing. We also have a new album called West Coast Band.
Yeah.
First single's out, and it's funny. It's an album about us, and stories of the band over the years, and song about each person in the band.
And what's that like? Because that sounds more personal, perhaps, than what you've done in the past.
It's more literal.
More literal. Okay.
Yeah, you know, I mean, sure, personable, but it's kind of fun, just sort of relating the stories. Started through COVID, we'd get on Zoom and sort of like, remember when, and then we turned those into songs. So
it's amazing how the pandemic, you know, it stopped you from performing live, but I think it had a lot of artists maybe getting a little more introspective and a little more reflective.
Yeah, and also kind of in a battery charger, you know, kind of counting on that we would come back.
Yeah.
And we did, so yeah.
And it's great. I mean, and the live music has come back is amazing. You know, I've never spoken to you before, Neil, but I mean, a lot of people came to 5440 through Hootie and the Blowfish, that cover of I Go Blind. Could you talk about what that meant to you, that an American band that was hitting it so big in the 90s sort of helped bring a new audience to 5440?
Well, it was great. I mean, it's great on a number of levels. They were like a college frat band that covered all our songs. They'd come see us play when we toured the States. Next thing I know, 10 years later, they've got a big hit out, and basically what you said, you know, it kind of brought a lot of new people into our world, which was kind of fun, and they've been great with us and to us. And
all right, well, you're performing again tonight at the Elmo. That'll be pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
So look forward to that. Good luck with the show tonight. Good luck with the album. Great to talk to you, Neil Osborne.
Thank you.
All right, well, listen, Boat Rally for Kids is back for 2023, a two-day scavenger hunt on the water in Muskoka to help support children battling cancer, and also Kids Help Phone.
So joining us now is certified Muskoka lover and celebrity navigator of this year's event, Billy Baldwin in the flesh. It's great to have you in the studio. We were just going through your filmography and all the movies that I saw with you growing up, Three of Hearts, and then your brother did Threesome. But aside from that, let's talk about you going back to Muskoka, because your show, Northern Rescue, was filmed there. So this is a special place for you, right?
Yeah, it was, well, I mean, Canada, I love Montreal, TO, I love Vancouver. I've been going to Muskoka now for, I don't know, over 10 years now. And I shot in Parry Sound, which is kind of Muskoka adjacent. Was able to shoot over to Rosso to grab dinner every once in a while. But we're out on Georgian Bay quite a bit, much more than we were on the Three Lakes in Muskoka. But yeah, it's really super near and dear to my heart, for sure.
Yeah, and the boat rally is clearly close to you as well, Billy. Tell us more about what people can expect this year, because Muskoka Biza really caught my eye.
Muskoka Biza, we have an all-white party. I'm on my way over to the bay right now because I don't have my white shoes yet, and I don't have my white socks. But it's amazing because you know the way the geography, the topography of those islands. I have a lake cottage too in the Finger Lakes, Skinny Atlas, 17 miles long, 1 mile wide. Beautiful, breathtaking, stunning. It ain't Muskoka, because in these islands here, you know, you have these 2, 3, 4 acre islands that are there in the middle with these incredible mansions. And we go island hopping from dock to dock, and we do these different scavenger hunts. Sometimes we work with the fire department, the police department, Canadian Air Canada, with the Canadian military, and we have these various stops. And it's so much better and different and more dynamic and thinking outside of the box than another golf tournament or another awards dinner on the rubber chicken circuit where you're listening to these another speech. Or like,
it's much more engaged. Everyone's involved.
Yeah, you're just having a great time, and most importantly, it's a great time for a critical cause, which is Sunnybrook and Odette raising money to fund grants for research and ultimately find a cure for cancer, which I've been doing for years with here in Toronto, but with my mother's breast cancer foundation, and also with Kids Helpline, which is my new favorite. I mean, just amazing to know. Imagine the spike. I think they had 1.6 million calls, and now they're getting 15 million calls. A lot of it spiked, obviously, because of what COVID has done to young people, 8, 10, 12, 15. Anxiety, stress, depression, suicidal thoughts. You're having sexual identity issues. You have no one to talk to. Literally, pick up the phone. There's somebody on the other end of the line. And I like the anonymity of it, because sometimes you're afraid to tell a friend, you're afraid to tell a sibling, you're certainly maybe our generation, you didn't want to tell your dad, you didn't know what was going to happen. There was a call they got the other day where someone in Canada told their parents, and their parents told them to leave at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they called the hotline, and they found a shelter for them in a hotel or something, and they found protection and guidance for them, and that's that's incredible.
Yeah, such amazing work. And, you know,
Kids
especially,
help on,
as a parent, I mean, we each have 3 kids. Nick has 3, I have 3. I know you have 3. Your kids are much older now. But I want to switch gears now and
my
talk
kids
about...
are still in college. My kids, I have 1. Well, they're all 3 out of high school.
Yeah, but, you know, when your kids are now grown, have they looked back at your filmography, your Rolodex of films? Do they watch the recent TV shows you've done with Gossip Girl and even Too Old to Die Young? And what's their reaction to your...
Better not watch Too Old to Die Young. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you play a grieving man. That's been kind of a theme for you.
Very, very dark. I just did a film called Candyland. I want you to watch that. I don't want my children to watch it. You meaning Canadian audiences. Of course, Northern Rescue, Gossip Girl, Dirty Sexy Money.
Yes, that was great.
I did some fun TV shows in this sort of phase of my career. And looking to find the next one. We came out of COVID. I had a child that was ill, so I didn't work for a year. And then it rolled right into COVID for 2 years, and now we're in a double strike. So,
and I was going to mention that because that's the thing right now. Hollywood, you know, big screen, small screen, it's all kind of shut down. How difficult is that to sort of conceptualize what this means for the industry? I know you can't talk about specifically the strike, but just the whole. This seems like a golden age of content, right? There's so much coming out, and now everything's just standing still.
Yeah, well, as I say, it's the greatest stuff in the history of television is on now, and the worst stuff in the history of television is on now.
Yeah,
because we have so much content.
Right.
There's a lot of trash and a lot of garbage, which people love. And the highest one, when I started, the Oscar was here and the Emmy was here.
Yeah,
because the good
point.
writing is all going to television. Now it's Marvel and Iron Man and Aquaman and Batman and Superman, all the man. You know, they're all in the movies and the franchises. That doesn't speak to the actors. The actors go to what feeds their soul. This is why I became an actor. All of that writing has gone into television, and winning the Emmy right now is more prestigious than winning the. Or they're both great. They're both great.
Yeah, that's.
But I will say regarding the strike, there are no residuals in streaming.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just got 30 or 40 checks from Internal Affairs, from Flatliners. You know, they used to be thousands of dollars. Now they're, you know, $111. And they add up. And not for people like me, people that make a living in acting, but they're making, you know, $65,000, $75,000 a year, $100,000 a year. You take away your agent's commission, you pay all the taxes on that. Yeah. You know, those royalty checks are what put their kid through college. It puts food on the table. Yeah. It's what keeps their health care.
Very true.
So you can't. What the producers are doing is they want to keep the fees down. They don't want to pay the royalties. It makes the company more profitable. Everything gets passed off to the shareholder. All that profit gets passed off to the shareholder. So you have executives making a lot of money. You have shareholders that have, you know, great. The pension plan of a cop, a teacher, a fireman, they're profiting from that. But the people that write it and direct it and star in it,
the talent, the people,
they're not the ones that are being compensated fairly, and they're the ones that are providing this content for you. They're the ones that are responsible for it, and they're not being compensated fairly. I don't want them. You know, there's certain things that they're asking for that I don't think is a good idea. We could save that for another time.
We should.
They're talking about possibly getting paid for auditioning, which I don't think is a good idea, because a lot of times an agent will say to a casting director, I've got 11 names, and they'll say, okay, I'll take these 8, and 2 or 3 of them will be unknowns. So now if you have to pay for that, they'll just say, okay, if I have to pay, I'll take these 3, and I don't want to hear it. So people, you're stifling the ability for somebody to become discovered if you start charging for an audition.
Totally. Billy Baldwin, I wish we had more time to talk, because I want to talk about how your neighbor or your classmate was the Long Island serial killer.
Your ex-human, the
suspect.
Beach.
But we'll have to save that for next time. Listen, have a great time in Muskoka.
My lifeguard stand was like walking distance from where they found the bodies. Yeah, it was like a couple hundred yards.
Horrifying, terrifying.
Kids Help Phone, remember.
Yep.
And enjoy the boat rally this weekend. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Billy Baldwin, thanks for joining us on CP24 Breakfast.
So
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.